social slime, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air, fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one lives countries, lie to your face, fight and die, cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slide, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care. See the shit, force a bear, fuck them back, it's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one lives countries, lie to your face, fight and die, cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
The person whom you're trying the person whom you're trying
Okay, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens, and I apologize for the technical difficulties that we ran into this morning. For some oddball reason, something got hung, and my Skype wasn't recognizing anything or anybody. So we're on air now, and that's a good thing. Anyways, let's see where we get. I don't need this stuff, with this stupid technology. And this is just proof that the powers that be can basically shut down whatever they want, whenever they want, and call it a technical hitch. In other words, they can shut your food system down, they can shut your water system down, they can shut your electricity system down any freaking time they want. And this is the problem with technology. We don't control anything anymore. Now, they also want to remove the idea, and they've already been doing that in India, and the Indian people are getting a little upset about it because a lot of the Indian people still run under the table so-called black market, which is not black market, it's honest. Anything outside of the government would have to be looked at as honest, and anything inside the government would have to be looked at dishonest versus moral, amoral, or honest or corrupt. Our governments are completely and totally Jew-run and totally and completely corrupt. And they're putting us in a position now where they want to remove cash so that you can't go do a deal with your neighbor or a friend or anybody without their interference. If you do something they don't like, they can shut down your access to your digital funds. And this is something I don't think many people seem to be aware of. I must be one of the last people that don't have a cell phone. I don't intend to get one. I managed to live my life, run businesses from the time I was in my 20s up till now without a cell phone. And I intend to continue doing so. I made a phone call one time and to the police in London, Ontario. I'm standing in a store in Kincardine, Ontario. And when I get talking to the cop, he knows exactly where the hell I'm standing. Because he told me where I was. I don't need that kind of crap. So I ain't getting a cell phone. But he get a cell phone. The only reason I would use it would be shooting for video or something, because it's a handy little critter for that. But other than that, I don't want nothing to do with it. When I see these zombies wandering around my town, staring at their cell phones, they're oblivious to anything that's going on around them. Absolutely oblivious. When I see 2 or 3 or 4 people walking down the street together, and none of them are even having a conversation, each of them have got their face stuck in their stupid cell phones, texting away like a bunch of mad idiots. We're making this way too easy. You know, that little video clip with Nick Rockefeller and, now I forgot his name, who did some really good work. The hell was his name? Aaron Russo. And Russo was doing a lot of good work trying to expose the nonsense that we're supposed to be paying attention to, so they get a hookup so that Rockefeller befriends Aaron to get him on side. That's what they always do. I've had that happen to me more than a few times. When I'm scrapping with government or whatever, and try to get you on their side. Well, it didn't work with me and didn't work with Aaron. So when he was talking to Nick Rockefeller, he's just like, what the hell do you want? What are you doing? Well, we want to chip everybody, put all their information on a chip so that we can, if they dissent, then we can shut it off. They can't access anything. Can't access health care, can't access their bank account. It's time we wise up to this garbage. But today's a perfect example. You know, I just put my computer on sleep last night, so I didn't have to dick around with it this morning. Just fire it up. Didn't get to bed till after 3. Got up this morning. I'm on the telephone first. As soon as I get out of bed, I don't even get nothing to eat. I'm on the phone with this nonsense that's going on over at Michael Schmidt's, a milk farmer who has got one of the last few pieces of land in this country that hasn't been poisoned by pesticides. For 25 years, all he's done is produce real food. And that man has been raided, high-powered rifles. And I can't even begin to count the number of days he spent in court since like the early 90s, explaining that he's just making food. But then you got to go to another Jew, Kissinger, who said, control the oil, you control the nation, control the food, you control the people, is what this is all about. 25 years of the government and the health agencies pounding away on Michael, that if you don't, we have one health idiot, government idiot, bureaucratic idiot, say that you don't even have to drink raw milk to get sick from it and die. Somebody could just sneeze on you that drank it or breathe on you that drank it. And lo and behold, you could get deathly ill. This is the kind of lunacy that's going on in this country. So now they've put an injunction in on Michael's farm saying he can't milk his cows. He's got around 42 head of cows. They got to get milk twice a day. And if they see him walking in his milk house or his cheese house or anybody else on that farm, without a warrant, they can just come in and pick him off and throw him in prison. What's his crime? He grows healthy food. In 25 years, 25 long years of growing and producing healthy food, not one man, woman, or child has ever become even the slightly ill from anything that they consumed off that farm. And they have beat on this family constantly for 25 years. We control the food. Now, if you go into a grocery store and you're looking around in the grocery store with a clear eye, try to find what percentage of that food in that store hasn't been poisoned with pesticides or GMO'd or adulterated in one fashion or another. Pretty much everything in that food, in that grocery store, is detrimental to your health. But hey, control the food, control the people. The whole plan is to make you weak and stupid and submissive. If you walk down any street in this country and you talk to 100 people, you'll go, holy crap. These people are submissive and stupid. But then this is World War III, isn't it? This is a spiritual, psychological war, and they broke the spirit of the men, especially the men. The women seem to be starting to wake up, but especially the men. I'm disgusted by the men in this nation. Absolutely disgusted. You know, there was a time when men were men. And there was a time when boys were more men than the men today by a long shot. Now you have full-grown men wandering around the streets constantly concerned that they don't say something that would upset somebody because they don't want to get in trouble. That's not a man. Not how a man operates. They're taking our nation down from the inside through psychology to make you weak, through basically poison food to make you weak, television sets to make you weak, pharmaceuticals from your doctor. Go to a doctor and see if you can get out of there without a prescription being written. You know, there was a time when even the boys, you don't even see the boys doing it anymore. The young men. I mean, I was absolutely astounded when I'm talking to these young guys. How come I don't see you guys roughhousing or nothing? You know, you're walking down the street staring at your stupid cell phones and you're not having any fun. You're not bucking around with each other. Well, we're not allowed to do that. Say what? We're not allowed to do that. Why not? Well, because our teachers told us they watch us even when we're not at school, and if they see us, you know, goofing around or roughhousing or that, or getting a fight or something, that, well, it'll negatively affect our future career possibilities. These are 14-year-old boys. Like, are you freaking serious? And the men ain't no different, because they came through the same system. They're weak as weak can be. I don't even know if you're going to get in a fight anymore. I don't even know if that's possible. Because I would think about 99% of the so-called men, you could walk up and call them out. And they're just going to say, well, I'm offended. I'm going to call somebody. These aren't men. They're even a poor excuse for men. They're worse than little girls. Little girl at least probably kick you in the shin. I am absolutely freaking disgusted. Now, you know, I don't know how people even look in the mirror anymore. I mean, what do they see in the mirror? A whooped dog? I don't know what they're seeing. But all this noise has been coming at them for so long. All this programming has been jammed in their heads for so long. It's pretty much sucked the man out of the men. If you want a future for your children, grandchildren, and the children that they'll probably have, if they're allowed, because there are documents out there that what they want to do in the future is the government will make the decision who breeds and who doesn't. So this is not about us. This is about what we failed to do all these years. Let's stand up. It seems the further we go along on this, the weaker people get. And that has to change. Because there is no freaking way that any parent can say, look their kid in the eyes and say, I love you, and then turn around and put that child in the public school system, turn around and allow the state to jam, I don't know what it is, 60, 80 freaking needles in their arms. Now here in Ontario, any child from 0 to 25 gets free pharmaceuticals for their anxieties. The anxieties and the mental conditions that have been created by the very government that is offering you free pharmaceuticals. So that you can't ever stand up. And parents all over this nation, they're dragging their kids into the doctors to get the prescriptions because some jackass health person at the school has talked to the child and believes that the child has some kind of mental anxiety, and that recommends for the betterment of the child to take the child to the white-coated drug pusher and have him write a prescription to help your child deal with the anxiety that was created by the school system and the media that has the mind of your child. And you got the balls to say you love your children? You got the audacity to say that? Because if you think you can tell your child you love them, and you're allowing the state to do what the state is doing to them, then maybe you ought to go get some pharmaceuticals, because you are mentally ill. Now, I want you to go out there and show that you love your children. I want you to stand up. I want you to walk into the Board of Education and chew their faces off. Oh, we won't. We tried that once, but they yelled at us. So we're scared now. So freaking pathetic. It's beyond pathetic. We turned our people into sick, weak, useless fools. Well, they're the authorities, and they're professionals, and they know what they're talking about. We don't. We just work at Walmart, or I work in a government office, and they really care about us because look at all the staff they have, all the mental health workers, and look what they're doing in the schools, right? You know, they want their children to be able to understand anal sex at the age of 5 or 6. I mean, come on. You love your children, huh? You love your children. No, you don't. No, you don't. Impossible. It is impossible for you to say you love your children if you hand your children over to the state. The state hates your children. They hate the society that the European people came here and built. They hate you. They hate everything about you. And they want to control every aspect of your life of which you're allowing them to do. You know, way back when, I don't know when that was, in the 80s maybe, and they started coming out with all these stupid tickets you had to have if you were in construction. And we had to go get a ticket for, what the hell was that for? Whatever. Something to do with chemicals or whatever. You know, I'm talking to a bunch of construction guys I know, because I was a builder at the time. And they're going, you going to this, are you? No. Well, you have to. What do you mean I have to? Well, if you don't go to it, then you won't be able to work. Says who? Well, you have to have this ticket. Says who? Well, if you don't get it, you'll get in trouble. Says who? I was so disgusted back then by these so-called men who, because some pencil neck from a bureaucracy says, you have to do this, or you won't be able to do that. Well, I've been doing that for a long time. My forefathers were doing it. They didn't have a freaking ticket. Why do I need a ticket? Well, it's the new rules. It's about safety. No, it ain't about safety. It's about revenue streams. It's about revenue streams, and it's about control. It has nothing whatsoever to do with safety. If you study the word safety and you look at the legal system, you will find out very quickly, or you will come to the conclusion very quickly, that everything they sell off as safety is creating new revenue streams and control over your freedoms. This new mental health thing they got up, we got more. The mental health bureaucracy in this country is growing by leaps and freaking bounds because so many students now are suffering from anxiety. So we have to do it for their safety because we care about them. I don't give a damn about the kids. The kids are revenue streams. The vaccination companies are making a fortune. The pharmaceutical companies are making a fortune. And again, it's about control. Well, if you don't have your child vaccinated, they won't be able to go to school. How are you going to deal with that, stupid? Good question, because you got both me and my husband working 2 or 3 freaking jobs trying to keep a roof over our heads. What are we supposed to do with this kid? How are we supposed to look after the kid? We're barely making ends meet now. We can't have the kid out of school. How are we going to do this? So they submit, well, we got to get him vaccinated because if we don't get him vaccinated, he won't be able to go to school, and then we're screwed. Revenue stream and control. Everything that comes out of the legal system is about revenue and control. And people just keep on submitting to it. You know, I mean, people are amazed when I did that renovation last year on that commercial building. I didn't pull any permits. I didn't hand any money over to the state to renovate somebody's building. It took them 2 months to show up. We're right on the main freaking street. 2 months. And finally, a building inspector comes in and told me she'd been driving back and forth for 2 months. Why didn't you stop in? Well, you didn't get a permit. No, and I ain't going to get a permit. I don't need a permit. But that was a little fight I got into with the municipality some years back. If I'm renovating a building and some idiot shows up with a piece of paper and says, well, I need a permit, why is that? Do you know how to do what I'm doing? Well, no. Then what are you doing here? Now, I think that's one of the reasons that I'm running as a candidate for the Libertarian Party in June here in Ontario. Because their platform is basically, it's kind of based on a live and let live attitude. What's yours is yours. And basically, if you're not harming somebody, you do with what's yours what you want. In other words, their platform will state that if you're a construction worker and like it's storming like a pig out here today because of global warming, and it's mighty frickin' frigid because, of course, global warming does it. But construction workers, if they're sitting in their truck and anything registered to the state, you see, once you register to the state, then the state can make up whatever stupid rule they want, and you're bound by it. So they make up this stupid rule that because your work trucks are work trucks, that you have to follow their bureaucracy and do what the bureaucracy says. Now, all kinds of people are getting a ticket, like on a day like this, if somebody's working on somebody's house, and they're going to go have a smoke or something, so they say, well, you don't smoke, and I don't smoke in the house either myself, but I do smoke, and so it's a miserable day, so you go to the truck, sit in the truck, to have a smoke, and you get a tap on the window and some freaking pencil neck. And of course, this smoking thing is all about your safety. We care. So we made a new rule: you can't smoke in your own work truck. Because we care about your safety. So you get a tap on the window and some pencil neck says, you're smoking in your truck. Yeah, it's freaking 25 below out, twit. Well, I'm going to have to give you a $250 fine for that. Say what? Well, it's right here on the piece of paper. For your safety, you know. I'm absolutely amazed that these pencil necks haven't had their nose driven through the back of their heads when they come and knock on somebody's window or come onto a job site and say, do you have a permit to go up that ladder? You can't smoke in your trailer or your truck. Yada, 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 yada. In the old days, when men were men, if somebody come onto your job site with bullshit like that, well, they'd be walking out with a very flat nose or worse. But through all these decades of grinding people down, and the people never stood up at the beginning, because those who did stand up at the beginning, like some of my relatives, sometimes they would end up in jail for a short stint. Because they knew right from wrong, and they stood their ground, but the other people around, well, see, he got in trouble, so we'll just lay down. And then it just grew from there. Layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of control, bullshit, and them sticking their hand in your pocket. So you're working away and you make $250 or $300 or whatever for your day's work, and this pencil neck comes along and you're having a 5-minute smoke, and he takes basically your day's labor away from you. And now, instead of sitting in your truck, 20 below in a snowstorm, with the heater on having a smoke, you're hiding around the corner of a building. Like some kind of 2-bit criminal. I mean, I don't know what it takes. If I knew what it takes, we'd have our country in our hands in the morning. People are so fearful about getting in trouble, not realizing that you are the epitome of being in trouble. You dig in your own hole by bowing down all the time to this nonsense. So, you know, I mean, the Libertarian Party, I don't like parties. We have to kill the party system. But I'm not really looking at the Libertarian Party as a party. I'm looking at it as basically a group of people that have come together, because it's very difficult to get anywhere as an independent. People are used to parties. But I do believe that these guys got the right mindset. You know, they're talking about if you have your business, if you own a business, that's your business. As long as you're not harming somebody, you can do with your business what you wish to do. In other words, if I have a restaurant or something, and you're a smoker, and I decide you can smoke in my restaurant, that's my decision because it's my restaurant. Now, if people don't like the idea that I'm allowing people to smoke in the restaurant, then you don't have to come to the restaurant. That's my decision. People start these businesses now only to find out it ain't their business. Because once you register your business, it's the government's business. They can write whatever stupid bylaw or rule or regulation they want, and then they can send their damned inspectors into your so-called business, of which you created, which you financed, which you are responsible for, and they can send these pencil necks into your business anytime they want and say, well, you're wrong on this code and that code and this code and that code and this code and that code, so we're going to have to give you a $10,000 fine. Have a nice day, and don't forget, submit. Always submit. I've talked to several people who, when I was trying to put a magazine together, and I remember I was in one company, and they actually liked the magazine. They liked what I was trying to do. They were a medium-sized business, and they were fearful. He said, we'd like to advertise in that, but we might get in trouble because the government has wrapped themselves so tight around us, they may not like what we're advertising in, and that may cause us problems. And so I asked the guy, I said, so when you started a business, most people start businesses because, one, they don't want to work for somebody else, and they're entrepreneurial, and they like the idea of independence. And talking to this guy, I go, well, wait a minute here. You started the business. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I would assume that you started this business because you're of an independent mindset. Yes, I am. But now you're fearful that the government, if you do something they don't like, they could have a negative effect on your independence. Yes. So in other words, you started the business, but you don't run the business. The government runs the business. You're just a labor in the business. He said, it's starting to appear that way. Well, I said, are you happy about that? Absolutely not. But what can we do? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I do know that I'm going to have a great deal of fun in the provincial election in June. And I wish other people would do what needs to be done and stand up. Sitting back ain't going to get it done. Hoping some hero comes along and fixes things ain't going to happen. You know, the reason they have all these heroes in the movies and the TV shows and that is specifically to keep you weak. Because you have this idea that some hero at some point will come and fix things. That's why they have heroes. To make you weak. So that you don't have to stand up because some hero is going to come and save you. I mean, I hear this garbage all the time. You know, Trump's going to save America. Really? Really? If Trump is going to save America, I mean, he did say one, I don't pay much attention to Trump, but he did say one thing that impressed me. It's time to make America great again. Well, fine, that's a nice saying. But is this just an empty statement, or is this a statement hoping to wind up the so-called right? I mean, how can Mr. Trump say, you know, time to make America great when you've got the Council of Foreign Relations, you got the Trilateral Commission, you got the United Nations, all sitting on American soil? How the hell do you propose to make America great when those three institutions that are there specifically to take America down are still sitting there? So what that statement was supposed to mean, I have no idea. Time to make America great again. Good idea. Good idea. But everything that screwed America is sitting on American soil. The Trojan horses are sitting on American soil. Those who control the Senate, the Congress, and the judiciary are sitting on American soil. You can't make America great with those institutions sitting on American soil. It's an impossibility. I had somebody this morning when I was on the phone say we need something like somebody like Putin. They say, what? Putin? Oh, you mean the Russian guy that's played up positive in the media so often? That guy? Yeah. A hero? Yeah. Forget about it. Who the hell took Russia down? The Jews. What did Russia become? The Soviet Union. And then they weaseled their way into Europe, and they got the European Union. They want the North American Union. The whole point of what's going on in the West is the Sovietization, or the Jewification, of the planet. So how does Putin become a hero? I mean, people are so damn lazy. Well, one of these guys should save us, right? Wrong. Wrong. You know, you're digging your own pit. It is basically going to line you up. They've already got you lined up instead of lining you up at a ditch and shooting you. They're poisoning you with your food, your water, your air, these stupid chemtrails, the vaccinations, the indoctrinations in the schools, the indoctrinations in the churches, the indoctrination through the movies and the rest of the media. They're allowing you to kill yourself. So forget this idea of heroes. Forget about it. Go stand and look in the frickin' mirror. That's the hero. And if you all stand and look in the mirror and understand all you got to do is get together and stand up and say no. That's simple. No. Learn to say that word, no. Do you have a ticket? No. Well, you need the certificate? No. It's a very simple little word, a very powerful little word. People need to learn to use it. Now, the situation over at Michael's farm now is very bad. 25 years, one of the few pieces of ground left in this country that ain't been poisoned. But the government don't like competition. And one of the reasons Michael tried for years to get it legalized so that he could set up a framework of rules and regulations so that who want to sell raw milk would fall within those rules so that we make sure that the product is always safe. Like Michael always sends his milk samples to the lab. In fact, I was over there and the lab technicians come in, pick up the samples, drive away, do the sampling to make sure that everything is on the good. 25 years, no problems. Now, the food industry can't say that. Lots of people have been killed by listeria and other stuff. I just seen a thing now, you're not supposed to eat romaine lettuce for some oddball reason. But do they shut these companies down? No. No, because they're regulated. It's the same thing when they brought up, okay, let's see, get this straight now. The government can sell cigarettes, and the government can sell liquor, and the government can sell pharmaceuticals, all of which are known to harm and kill people. And we have a proven track record of the dangers of these things, but yet they're still sold. We have no illness whatsoever that ever came off of this farm. What we have is a large group of people who are just thankful for the betterment of their health. Their health got better, not worse, from consuming the raw milk. People with osteoporosis find that their bone density gets better. People with arthritis and other maladies find that it helps. People with asthma that finds it gets rid of that. So what it is it's basically a health food. And like any other food, it has to be made safe or make sure it's safe, which Michael has always done. But the government sees him as competition. Because as more people find out that, hey, raw milk is actually a health food, want it, then that puts pressure on the farmers, the factory farmers that they have signed up and have well indebted them, and they don't want any competition. But when brought up about the pharmaceuticals and the alcohol and the tobacco, the word from the government is, oh yes, well, they're okay because they're regulated. Well, yeah, but they still cause people harm. Well, yeah, but we've regulated, so we try to mitigate any problems. Well, then why don't you regulate the raw milk? Because it hadn't harmed anybody, and you've got this other thing that is regulated that actually does cause harm to people, and you say that's okay because it's regulated, so why don't you regulate the milk? I think that's where Michael was going all the time. But they already have the monopoly on the milk industry. Now, when we were at Guelph, Ontario, at the university, there was a raw milk symposium. The speakers came in as far away as California and Washington, D.C., I think it was, and different parts and across from Canada. And, question asked, was well, if the government found a way to turn this into a good revenue stream, would they legalize raw milk? And the answer was yes. But we haven't found the revenue stream yet. Now, Mary Jane, marijuana, weed, pot, whatever the hell you want to call it, is a perfect example. It's the same game they're playing with Michael here. For decades, I don't know what the final number is. I don't know where to go look for the data, but the number of people that were incarcerated, arrested, fined for the possession, not the distribution so much, just the possession of a plant that grows naturally. The lives that were destroyed because the government was doing the same thing they're doing with Michael, that if you're anywhere near this product, this natural growing plant, you could become addicted. You don't even have to smoke it. If somebody was using it and they sneeze on you, you could become a crazed killer, or you could become addicted. Same garbage language, because they always use templates. Same garbage language they use in milk. You don't even have to drink it. If somebody breathes on you to drink raw milk, well, you could just die. But then over time, you have these NGOs and that running around, medical marijuana is good, right? And it went on for decades. Oh, no, pharmaceuticals are better. You don't want to use that damn weed shit. But that was all propaganda. People don't understand that. It's all propaganda. The whole idea of legalizing weeds was propaganda. So the stupid, mostly the young, were easily manipulated. Wanted weed legalized. Problem, reaction, solution. How do we turn weed into a better revenue stream than just money out of the jails and that? How do we turn that into a better revenue stream? So you get the reaction going in the media, now we're starting to get some stuff about medical marijuana. Meanwhile, they've raided the people who have been growing and treating people with weed for decades. They continually threw them in jail, cut their fields down. Rick Simpson's a perfect example. I don't even think he wanted, last time I talked to him, he did not come back to this country. So then, eventually, through media, propaganda, and pressure from the NGOs and that, who want marijuana legalized, now the government goes and puts its buddies in place. I mean, the commissioner of the OPP, the ex-commissioner of the OPP, who ended up in government, he was the head of the Toronto Police Department, then the commissioner of the OPP, the Ontario Provincial Police, then he was in government, who was running around for decades busting anybody that had a joint on them, has had a change of heart. And now he's a director of a weed company or something. But that's legal weed now. So all these idiots that were pushing for legalization of weed are starting to realize, boy, were we stupid. Because they legalize weed, but our weed ain't legal. Just like Michael's milk ain't legal. And you can bet your bottom dollar that the weed that's still illegal, which is everybody's weed except the government weed, is a far superior product than what the government's going to sell you, because you got no idea what else the government's going to stick in that product. So government milk is legal, non-government milk is illegal, government weed is legal, non-government weed is illegal. We, the government, have the monopoly on these two products, and anybody that's outside of our boundaries is deemed to be illegal. And we will crush you because we see you as competition. Now, monopolies are supposed to be against the law. Yet government, by definition, is a monopoly. And they take undue advantage because they have a monopoly. And we got to change all that nonsense. It's really disgusting. You know, if I had 42 cows and I wasn't milking them, the government would send in the SPCA or something because I would be charged with animal cruelty. So this government that puts this injunction against Michael milking his cows, he's still going to have to milk the cows because the cows will get sick and they will get diseased. And where are you going to put the milk from 42 cows every day? And if they're going to milk them, they're going to have to milk them by hand. Because they got to move all their equipment off the farm in case they get raided again, this time without warrants. And if they're caught milking a cow with a milking machine and put the milk in a cooler, they'll be dragged off to jail. You have 42 cows you're going to have to milk by hand and dispose of the milk. It's animal cruelty. But then what the hell does the government care about? The government is the force. I was looking at an OPP document one time, or the definition of the OPP in that. And it's not even, that's the Ontario Provincial Police, which has most of the policing powers in Ontario. There's still the odd, not many left, the odd town police force. But generally, the OPP run the show. They're accountable to nobody. They police themselves. But they're the strong arm for the so-called government. But the document I read, it didn't say the OPP, it said the force. The force known as the OPP. Not the OPP who has the right of force, but the force known as the OPP. Which is the force of law. Which are the thugs who enforce the decisions of these criminals who call themselves the government. The rule and force of law. We make the rules, they force you to accept them through fear, through intimidation, through a little piece of paper they hand out to you where you got to go to the principal's office, the courthouse, which is really just the principal's office. It's the same authority you were taught and had drilled through your head when you're in public school. If you do anything outside of these rules, you're going to end up in the principal's office, which you really don't want to end up in. So this is just an extension of the idea of authority that was jammed in your head as a child in grade school, which is continually ingrained in your head. It's psychological. That if you, once you grow up, don't follow the rules, or if you break a rule, it has nothing to do whether you caused anybody any harm or not, but if you broke a rule, then you're going to the principal's office, which is the courthouse. There's no freedom. There's no freedom of thought. There's no freedom of speech. There's no freedom of movement. Canada's the best country in the whole world. I've been hearing this my whole life, and my whole life basically I've been telling people, you best wise up. What are you talking about? If you don't like it here, just get the fuck out. Canada's the best country in the whole world. Well, yeah. Canada's been basically one of the main movers of this entire Marxist globalist agenda since its inception. All you got to do is read a little bit of history. Well, I don't like to read, I know, so remain stupid. And nothing the government likes better to hear than you don't like to read. Go watch a movie. Watch a ball game. Go sit in the corner, have beer, and pick your nose. Because they know knowledge is power, and they wrote down everything that needs to be written down so you can read it. But they've convinced you not to read. At least not to read what they wrote down. And then you consent to them. Just like you didn't read the fine print on that contract, and then you find out after you signed the contract that you got a noose around your neck. Well, we wrote it down. Well, yeah, but I need like how big a microscope to read this crap. Not our problem. We wrote it down. You didn't read it. Tough luck. Same thing they do with everything they've done basically from the beginning. They write it down. You don't read it. You don't stand up and say, what the hell is this horse shit? So you consent. You submit. I don't know how they turned so many people into such useless chunks of meat, but they did it. They did it. You know, it's really getting spooky because I see these people wandering around with their stupid cell phones, texting away. And then I see the people with their lottery tickets. And they look pretty much the same. I watched this yesterday morning. It looks pretty much the same as a cell phone syndrome. Eyes down, oblivious to anything else going on around them. And I sat in the store yesterday morning, or I stood in the store having my coffee for about, I must have watched this for a good half hour. People coming through the door, heads down, staring at their tickets, wandering over to this machine to check them, or wandering over here to write some new tickets up, and then wandering to the counter, heads down, staring at the tickets, walk up to the counters, put these tickets down, no real conversation going on, just like frickin' zombies. Do you think you could possibly have an intelligent conversation with any of these people? Not a chance. Their brain function's broken. So when the politicians tell them whatever bullcrap they want to tell them, it's not the essence of what's being said. It's not the body of the language that's being said. It's oh, I liked his suit, or I liked her hair, and some other bullshit. But these people don't go and investigate what's being told to them. It's whatever rings in their brain, but there's no substance to it. There's no substance in any of their decision. Well, I'm going to vote for so-and-so because Sally told me that other one's an idiot. Really? Go look in the mirror. In fact, write idiot on the mirror, so every time you go to your mirror, you know who you're looking at. An idiot. Now, how do we get a bunch of idiots to take back their country? How do we go about doing that? How do we take a bunch of beaten, zombified chunks of meat, the walking dead, the mentally incompetent, the totally indoctrinated, vaccinated, empty-headed fools to stand up and take their country back? You know, and I hear a lot of that from people. Oh, it's too far gone. You know, we can't do anything about it. The government will just do whatever it wants. Well, yeah, of course they will. Because you keep saying it. You never hold anybody's feet to the fire. Never ask any intelligent questions. You're worse than a bunch of little children. Even little children will buck back. But by the time they're done with you, through the system, by the time you get out the system and you think you're a man or a woman, you've been pretty well junked. Your capacity for most anything is so limited. I sometimes think that's why they brought out Velcro. So people didn't have to learn to tie their shoes anymore. Don't want to make your life difficult. But you know, when you look at a little kid trying to learn to tie their shoes, that's a big deal. You know, I remember tying my own shoes when I was a child. And the concentration level that went into that was quite intense. Somebody goes, "Oh, you just do this. You make a loop, you boop, see? Crap. Okay, let me get that string there and part around with it." You had to work at it. You didn't just put on your shoe when you're a little child and tie it up and walk out the door. You had to figure out how to do that. But a child has more determination learning to tie his shoe than an adult has today. If you watch the determination in a child to figure something out, it's bloody amazing. But they weren't told they can't do it. They were told, come on, try again, you can do it, you can do it. But by the time you're an adult, all you hear is you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. What are you doing? Well, I was going to just go up my roof there and check the vents, maybe sweep some leaves out of the eave trough or whatever. Well, have you got a permit to put that ladder up against the house and walk up it? No. Didn't know I needed one. Well, you do. So you best put the ladder down, and I'll give you some paperwork, and you fill it out, and then you'll have to take a course how to walk up the ladder. Well, I've walked up the ladder lots of times. Well, maybe you used to, but you can't now. See, in the old days, somebody would say, "Oh, you're going up on the roof." Yeah. Well, you know, I just noticed, you know, she's a little steep. Maybe I'll bring it out a little bit and you know, maybe put a block under that because the lawn's moving the other way. Good plan. Good plan. I can do that. You see, that's when safety was about safety. People caring about other people. People encouraging other people. But we're less than children now. The child has an imagination and determination that it was far beyond what the imagination and determination of an adult is today. And as soon as that child, I mean, children are ending up in daycares when they're like, I don't know, really freaking young. And the indoctrination starts right there. These people that have your child are looking for signs of gayness or LGBTQ-ness or transgenderness. They're looking for anxieties. so that they can mess with your child. So that little bugger that was sitting there, bound and determined that if you can tie your shoes, I can figure it out and learn to tie my shoes. That determination is all pounded out of the child. So now, long before they even become an adult, they've been zombified. And the parents make the excuse that, well, I don't have time. I don't have the energy. Well, who's at fault here? Well, the only ones that can be at fault is us. You can't blame the bureaucrats. You can't blame the doctors writing the prescriptions. You can't blame the doctors jamming the vaccines into your children's and your elderly parents' arms. You can't blame them because you're doing it willfully. You never said no. You know, you never say no. You see people out picketing and waving placards and, you know, they got the bullhorns out. It's just a regurgitation of the school teacher. Nobody's saying no. Nobody's saying that's it. No. Now, when the town building inspector came to me and told me I had to have a minor variance, I didn't discuss anything. I just said, no. Well, no, you have to. No, I don't. Then they go back and they try to renegotiate with you. And when they told me that I need a minor variance because I raised the height of the ceilings in the house, and by doing so, I stole municipal air, because air that used to be outside of the house when the ceiling was lower is now inside the house because the ceiling is higher, that I stole municipal air. That's actually what they said. Then I need a minor variance. And I went, no. You want a minor variance on this place, you go get it. And bring it back. Signed, sealed, and paid for. They continue to try to negotiate with you. They show up at where we were living, while we're renovating this place. Show up in the evening. Chief building inspector in a pencil neck, wandering around 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. Knock, knock, knock. What? We were talking to the council, and they said, we told them what was going on. They said there's like 99% chance that they'll pass the minor variance. So could you go to the council? No. Well, like, why not? Well, you said 99% chance? Yeah. I don't like the odds. That gives them 1% to mess me around. So the answer is no. No is such a powerful word, and people don't know how to use it. You know, if I'm going up a ladder and some dickweed comes along and tells me that I got to put the ladder down and I have to go and pay somebody $250 to teach me how to crawl up a ladder, that I've been crawling up ladders since I was probably, I'm going to say 5, 6 years old. When we were kids, we used to love to play this. We would play this game. We'd get a ladder and we'd stand the ladder up in the yard. And the idea was to see how many rungs you could run up the ladder, either before it hit the ground, or when we got really good at it, was to see how many rungs you could go up, and when the ladder started to get away on you, come back down the ladder and be on the ground before the ladder hit the ground. And we were quite young, and I don't remember needing a permit for that. I don't remember anybody getting hurt either. Oh, he might have got bruised up a little bit. But see, it was determination. Same as the kid tying his shoes. What can we accomplish? Can we stand a ladder up here, hold the ladder in the middle of the yard, and boot up that ladder when it's not leaning against anything, and see how far up we can get and how quick we can get down? And if we failed, guess what? We tried again till we got good at it. Now, were we trained to do this? No, we just decided to do this. Did we get a certificate to do this? No, we just decided to do this. And that makes, at least when I was a child, it made us much stronger than the so-called adults of today. And if we want to have a nation, then we must become determined to do so. And will we win immediately? Of course not. We will fail. Just like the little kid who failed, not once, not twice, but likely many, many times before he or she figured out how to tie their shoes. But when they tried to tie their shoes the first time and failed, I don't like this. Can I have some Velcro? Well, we didn't have Velcro when I was a kid. So if you wanted to wear your shoes, you best learn to tie them up. But guaranteed, every child that ever tried to tie their shoes failed. But they were all determined they were going to do it. And they did it. We have become weak. So weak. You know, sometimes you look at a piece of boiled spaghetti that's just all loose and flopping around, and you think that spaghetti's got more spine than most of the so-called men walking around in this nation. This is a determination that has to be made. This is do you care about those who are coming after you? Your forefathers cared. That's why they came here. And if you think the amount of determination they had to have in order to survive when they came here, but they did it. You know, just imagine if we took most of the men in this country and most of the women in this country and just dropped them off in a bush somewhere with maybe some flour, maybe a sack of flour and a sack of sugar or something. They didn't have much. Maybe a broad axe, maybe not. And just took most of the people alive in this country or in this nation or in North America today and just took them and dropped them off in a bush somewhere. And said, you're on your own. Go build a house. Go clear the land. No, there's no tractor and there's no chainsaw. Just go clear the land. Grow a crop. Have some kids. Build a village. Maybe somebody else will drop in here. You can imagine the determination. I mean, this was a survival instinct that these people brought with them. a survival instinct. And that survival instinct has been removed from you. You apparently think you don't need a survival instinct now because the so-called government is there to save you. We better realize the government's not there for your benefit. You're there for the benefit of the government. Without you benefiting them, they can't survive. The government cannot survive without you submitting to them, without you handing over your labor to them, without you bending down to them, without you submitting to them. They cannot survive. And it's about time people understand that. The abuser cannot survive without something to abuse. They can't survive. So all of this trouble we find ourselves in our nations today, we're responsible. We're responsible because we allowed ourselves to be put into this position. Because they told you they would give you benefits, but you never looked at the cost of these benefits, which is the removal of your freedom. So while you still may be able to move around physically, mentally you've been caged. But then, this is a Judeo-Christian society, the Judeo, which hates the Christians, and what comes first stands above. And the Jews, look at everybody who's not a Jew, is basically an animal, or those who will provide for those who control, no different than a farm. They're the farmers, and we're the animals. And they profit from us. That has to change. Someone sent me an email yesterday, and I don't even know if I can find it now. I don't know what it said. It said it was a red ball cap. Maybe this is something, I don't know, maybe this is because Trump I think he wears a red ball cap from time to time. But I don't know what it said. It said something along the line of either Rise Up Goyim or the Rise of the Goyim, and it said something along those lines, which is absolutely correct. It is time that we rise up. Now, understand, there are more of us than there is of them. There always has been. But they're sneaky little buggers. They're definitely not trustworthy. They are liars, they are deceivers, they are cheaters, they are manipulators. And we allowed all those things to happen to us through this so-called Judeo-Christian society. And that has to change. You know, last year was the 500th anniversary of the Reformation, credited to Martin Luther. That was way back in the 1500s. Now, you don't see any of that in the media. I don't recall seeing anything in the media about the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. Why? Because the 500th, or the Reformation, kicked the deceivers, the liars, the cheaters in the teeth. And it backed them way up. And it called out the popes and the Vatican and Rome for exactly what it was, not what they said it was. And those first people that came to America on the Mayflower were carrying the Geneva Bible, which called out Rome and the Vatican and Rome for what they were. And they didn't want lawyers, and they didn't want Catholics, and they didn't want Jews anywhere near them when they got here. But slowly through time, being manipulators and liars and deceivers, they managed to wiggle their way back in and slowly crush the spirit and the mind and the spine of the people who originally came here. Generations later, of course, but the offspring of the generation that came here to get away, get out from underneath the boot of tyranny. And we're right back where they were. They sacrificed everything to come here. And Martin Luther wrote a little pamphlet or a book called The Lies of the Jews, and everybody should read it. I mean, all through history, the Jews were run out of pretty much everywhere they ever landed into. Why? Because they were thieves and deceivers and manipulators. But here we are now in a so-called Judeo-Christian society. And who controls your media? The Jews. What did Daddy Rothschild tell the boys when he sent them over to America to get the banking system going? Before you get under the banking system, get control of the media. And the media is your newspapers, your movies, your TVs, your radio, magazines. You only see what they want you to see. You only read what they want you to read. You own the entertainment they control. So you've been psychologically ambushed. And now we have the Jews saying that the Muslims want to kill the Jews, or they're the same group of people. They're Semites, both the Muslims and the Jews. So again, through deception and lies and manipulation, people are going, oh, they want to kill the Jews. No, they don't. They're working hand in hand. Absolutely working hand in hand. There's just a lot more Muslims than there are Jews. But then the Jews run the media. The Jews are the one that kicked up the multiculturalism. The Jews are the ones that are taking down your nations. They're simply using the Muslims as the infantry. So if we want a nation, you know, what kills me is you see all the politicians are all wearing a Jewish beanie. You know, you can put in any politician pretty much that's at the top of the heap. and put on, like whoever in a Jewish beanie or a Israeli beanie or whatever, and they'll be wearing them. And yet the same politicians have opened the floodgates to Islam. Well, wait a minute. They've been all wearing these Jewish beanies for a long time, or politicians. So if the Jews are afraid of the Muslims and the Muslims want to kill the Jews, then what the hell are your politicians wearing the Jewish beanie hat for and opening the doors to the Muslims? It's because your politicians are just puppets. The background rules it. And if you go through history, you will see, if you go way back, you will see the Jews started to get control, and as you go forward, they got more and more and more and more and more and more control because we never kicked them out. They cut deals with politicians. So, if you're confused about this idea about what's going on in the West, don't be. I mean, all of this nonsense that you read about Islam being this great thing for the country. Now, why is this so prominent? Well, who owns the media? Who controls the media? Now, if the Jews were actually afraid of the Muslims, then what you read in the media would be completely opposite of what you read in the media today. So this idea that the Jews and the Muslims are not working hand in hand is completely false. Because if it was true, and the Jews run the media, we'd have different stories coming out. So we have a big job. Last night we had Kevin J. Johnson, who's relatively new at this. He's outspoken. He's down in Mississauga. He's not happy with this M103 stuff and that, which nobody should be happy about. And we had Karen Draper, who ran for the school board in Calgary, and I thank her very much for doing so, her first run in politics. Just recently, because she has a young child, who she looked at the school system and went, whoa. So she had a duty to try to do something, and she did. And while she didn't have a lot of help at the start, because the very people that would say, go Karen, well, they're basically afraid. And it took a little while. I noticed that too after I first ran. It takes a little while for the people to go, you know what? That was the right thing to do. That usually comes after the fact, once people have a chance to think about it. Because most people are of the mindset that they're not capable or they're not worthy to be, they're not knowledgeable enough to be running in so-called politics. And Karen really got her eyes opened in that, which is a good thing, made her more determined. Then we had Carl Fleury on the show last night as well, who just a couple of years ago, his eyes opened up. And he's determined and dedicated. It's all about dedication and determination. And the job is to keep on growing this until we get the proper number of people and we just basically take back our country. But as much as I hate politics, and I do, I hate politics about the same amount I hate scientists. And I really hate scientists because I hate deceivers, I hate liars, and I hate manipulators. And science and politics wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the amount of liars, deceivers, and manipulators. That's where they go to. But we have to use a political system for the time being. And we have to basically put our Trojan horses inside their castles, which means you need to stand up. There ain't much to know really about politics. It's a rather easy study. And you need to understand what it is and then make a determination. You're going to be in that Trojan horse when it goes inside those castle walls. Because the easiest way to get control of our country is to get control of municipal councils. Like I told Kevin last night, Kevin's all jacked up, and people seem jacked up about Kevin going to run for mayor in Mississauga. I don't give a damn if he gets 98% of the vote. I'm the mayor. Well, okay, you got an M in front of your title starts with an M, but you only got one vote. And you're not the one that sets the council agendas. The one that sets the council agendas is the CAO city manager, who has been specifically trained to move this Marxism, this globalism into the communities without even most of the council understanding what's going on. So like I told Kevin last night, you got a radio show, you're going to run for mayor, you better start hustling. You already made the determination you're going to run for mayor. And unless you're totally egotistical, you'll understand what's going on. This is about not you becoming mayor. This is about you attracting enough people to run so that you end up with control. Not you, but you and those that run end up with control of the council. So when the CAO brings some globalist program forward that he wants to hustle or she wants to hustle through council, you people who were in the Trojan horse, who are now inside the castle, can say no. Because you now have majority vote. There's that word again, no. We need to build more bike paths. No. We need more light rail. No. We need to grow vegetables in the high rises. What are you, an idiot? No. If you don't have the no vote, you're just standing outside those castle walls like a bunch of inbred idiots throwing little pebbles at the stone wall, which will have no effect whatsoever on the outcome you would like to have. So, think about that kid tying his shoes and the determination that went into that to get it right. So now they can tie their shoes without even thinking about it. I don't know nothing about politics. Well, that kid didn't know nothing about tying a shoe either. Well, I'm kind of nervous about that. Well, that kid was probably kind of nervous about that because it was a big challenge. But through determination and stick-to-itness, that kid learned to tie his shoes. So, if that little kid can do that, then you have absolutely no excuses whatsoever. There is no excuse that you can come up with for not getting on board that Trojan horse that's going inside the gates. None. Don't look at it fearfully. Look at it as fun. Make it fun. Make it determined fun. We were running up them ladders and jumping off buildings when we were kids. We didn't do it out of fear. We were determined that we could do this. Now, we got hurt sometimes, but we survived. But we were determined. We challenged each other. If little Johnny could get up 5 steps or 5 rungs on that ladder before it started to get away on him, and he got worried about it and bailed, you know, there'd be some laughter and stuff. And then Timmy gets up and he's determined he's going to outdo that 6 rail somehow, some way. And pretty soon we're running almost to the top of those ladders. And then we learned how to jump the rails and come on down before that thing hit the ground. And that was straight out of determination, but it wasn't determination with fear. It was determination with a fun factor attached to it. And that's what people need to do. Make it fun. Understand this, people. You're only going to be on this planet for as long as you're going to be on this planet. Your last day on this planet could be today. And I don't want you going out of here thinking, geez, I should have done something, because then, you know what? It's too late. As long as you're breathing, you got a job to do. So get to it. There are no excuses. There are no heroes. There's you, there's your friend, there's your neighbor, there's your wife, there's your children, there's your grandparents. This is who's going to take this country back. Not some freaking hero. A hero did not come to these lands and break them open and build the villages and towns and the factories for your benefit. No hero did that. Your forefathers did that. And they knew the idea of a hero was just this mystical nonsense. They did what they did through determination. And I'm sure they had lots of laughs while they were doing it, just like the kids running up the ladder when we were young. Determination. And fun. Because as hard as our forefathers worked, and for all the tough things they had to face, if you go back in the day, you'll still see pictures of a dance or people skating on the rivers and smiling, because they were determined and they were proud of what they accomplished. There's no pride left in the country. A country with no pride in itself cannot survive. And the manipulators know all of these things. And they basically sucked you dry of your determination. And for the most part, most people walking around are just a bag of meat walking around. There's nothing going on. Now, we can't fix them all, but we can fix enough of them. There still are a certain number of people who have the determination and the spirit and the spine and the mind. Your job is to go out and encourage those that are weak. If they're too weak, move along. And that's how we get our country back. 1,000 years of tyranny or 1,000 years of freedom. You choose. One you got to work at, the other will just come on you. Anyways, I think we're about out of time. I apologize for not getting in here on the right time. Glitch in the frickin' computer. Look out for technology, because it will bite you in the ass if you rely on it too much. Everybody have a great day. Today is Sunday, so I guess we will return on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. And we'll see what's going on in the world then. So everybody have a great afternoon. There's my music. We're out of time. Last thing, Hal is on at 3 o'clock. Don't miss it. Don't make him angry with it. Don't make him drag you up. Have